Hey guys, and welcome to another episode where we go through a lot of the questions and responses that you can get by being one of our group members. So hopefully you'll be able to learn a few things. And I know specifically in this particular episode, we answered questions about what happens when you're away, you're managing remotely, and, well, the guest trashes the place. So make sure you watch all the way to the end so that you can get that information. Hopefully things are going well for you. I am here in the studio. It's just me today, which I think is completely fine. Robert is still in town. He's on his way to London soon, so we won't be seeing him for a little minute. Anyway, as normal, we are going to be doing our standard Q&A today, so feel free to start typing your questions in the chat boxes just below. And for those of you, if you're watching on Facebook, feel free to join us, cashflowdiary.com/mastery. Come join us in the free group. And for those of you in our real estate group, obviously, type your questions in. And for those of you who are in the short-term rental group, make sure you do the same. I've got you guys over here like normal on this particular screen, so I'll be able to see your questions as well. And I'm hoping that today we get away with absolutely no technical difficulties. However, I make zero promises, but we're doing fine so far, right? I feel like we should, have like a small little cheering section going on just for the fact that right now, at this moment, everything is working. Right? So let's all just clap. Yay, internet. Anyway, with that being said, let me see who's here. We've got it was like Russell and Brandy. Yes. Hold on, let's see. I'm going over here to this computer. Let's do this number right here. So yes, say Russell and Brandy and Pedro and Janan is here. Excellent gamer, Cara, Della, what is going on? Akila, how are you? Tony, hey, Davey, excellent. Let's see what we got over here. Jay, what's going on? Long time no see. Looks like Dell's watching twice. Aiko, what's up? How are you? And who else do we have? Looks like I thought I saw Sashiko, which is good. Sandra, how are you? Ladero, what's up? Ladero with the new do. And for those of you who have a question, you want to come and join me live, by all means, just go ahead and go to any we've done this before, right? Any non-iOS browser, Chrome, any Chrome browser on a non-iOS device. So just cashflowdiary.com/live link will bring you on live. We'll get your question answered. Again, cashflowdiary.com/live link will bring you on live and get your question answered. Anyway, so this is how it works for those of you who may be here for the first time is, well, if you ask a question, the goal is that I'll be able to answer it. But if you don't ask a question, I don't have much to say. So hopefully you're typing in the chat box furiously right now so that we actually have something to, of course, talk about at the end of the day. Because I don't think we just want to hear me this entire time. So anyway, hey Maria, how are you? Lorena, what's going on? It's like a lot of people on today. This is good. This is good. What up, boss? That's nice. Chris Collins, how are you? LA, what's going on? Elliot Rosen, what's going on? How are you? Let me see. Anybody else? I think I got everybody. If I didn't get you, just stick your head out and I'll say hello, of course. What is the replacement for Toki? Got it. Great question, Lorena. Before we start announcing the replacements or the upgrades, we'll call them, for the specific tools, I am still testing one more thing. I want to make sure that the pricing component works as it should before we start a whole bunch of questions of how to make this work with that. Now, everything else except for the pricing component is currently working in a fashion that I am comfortable with. However, before we start making replacement recommendations, that's definitely something I want to get out of the way so that I can make sure that it's clear from the beginning how to make that work. Tony, what are your thoughts on having a barbecue grill for the guest? My thoughts are very, very simple. No, there is no version of having a barbecue grill that I think ever makes sense. So no. So that not going to be doing that at all, ever. So yeah, no. There's no. That I don't want to give my guest anything that might catch on fire. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but that's what I'm thinking about, is if something that gives them a reason to light anything on fire is it's just an automatic no. I don't even really have to think about that one. It's just no. I don't want to give them that ability under any stretch of my imagination. So sorry. Who was that? Okay, let's see who else we have. Oh, I thought I had some more people. Got it. What's this? Cara, I've read that you want to look at your Airbnb listing with a competition in incognito mode. Why is that important? Got it. So what that's about, Cara, is being able to figure out your search placement. Search placement is, well, huge. Is what that advice is relative to figuring out, are you on within the top first 18 search results is quote unquote page 1 when it comes to, being on Airbnb. So what that is that in the mind of the brand new person who has never done any searching whatsoever, in terms of a short-term rental, their browser has no history. And maybe they're just typing in a city and then they're just looking at your search. So that way you can figure out where you are in position and who else is coming up in that search or results list. So that's really what that is all about. And incognito mode in a Chrome browser, again, is a way to make that happen intentionally as if it's your first time there. So that's really what that's about. So that even if you've already, because once you click, even something as simple as clicking on a link. So I want you to hear me clearly. Once you've clicked on a link, that's all it takes. Once you've clicked on a link, Airbnb, then they track which link you clicked on. How long did it take you to click on it? What did you click once you've clicked on that link? From that point forward, they will modify the search results that they show you. Okay. So because of that, that's what we're trying to get rid of with incognito mode, is we now have the ability to just make sure that you're getting the purest version of your search results as humanly possible. So that's really where we are. All right. Let's see what we got. Searching for some more questions. Oh, there they go. I knew questions would come from somewhere. Hey, Larry, what's going on? I see you. Let's see. Let's see. Chris Collins says, my main question, having admittedly not taken the course. So this is good, Chris. I like where we're starting from right now. How realistic / easy to find is it that a landlord would let you sublet their property and short-term rental it? I understand it's a beginner question, but it's a big one for me. Got it. So Chris, I'm going to go with you're new here, right? In fact, I'm sure inside the student group, there's a lot of people who could answer this question for you, because again, we have hundreds of students in many different countries who are all practicing this, and many of them would tell you, dude, it is not anywhere as difficult as you are making it mentally, all right? Because it really isn't. It does take some work, but here's what I want to address. Chris, this is what's important to me. What's important to me is that we address the thought process where that question comes from. The thought process behind that question is more concerning to me than the question in and of itself. That's what I don't like. I want you to hear this, okay? I need you to hear this. So come a little closer. You are doing the landlord a favor. You're in business together. You're solving a problem for them. It's not just... Because in that mindset is, oh my God, why would anyone let little old me use their great, big, awesome property so that I can make money? Why wouldn't they just do it themselves? Do you hear what? Yeah, so, and I'm not saying that you're saying all of those things, but most of the time when someone is asking me that question, why would a landlord let me do this? There isn't going to be anyone that's going to let me do this. That just doesn't make any sense to me. They have no reason to help me earn money. There's a lot behind that mindset that needs to improve if you want to become the entrepreneur I know that's inside you. Okay? So here's my point. My point in saying that is when you realize that landlords have a problem and that you can solve it, all that goes away, i.e. the problem is simply vacancy. When a property is vacant, a landlord makes $0. And when they make $0, what they don't like is they don't like the fact that the cash register is not ringing. And if the cash register isn't ringing, then they're not making any money. And what you were promising them is 100% occupancy. Think about it. There are some locations where we are approaching 2 years, 2 years, 2 years, 0 vacancy. Okay. And in that location I'm thinking about, we have 8 units. So there are 8 units that we've been responsible for in this one apartment building for nearly 2 years. 0 vacancy. Now, I'm not saying that landlords don't get their tenants to renew and have very low vacancy. But I'm saying is, what if we had that entire building? In this case, it's a 20-unit building. If I had that entire building, it would be the entire building would have had 0 turnover for 2 years, which is unheard of, period. And that's a really valuable thing to a landlord, is really what I am communicating to you. So you are in business together. Yes, you're going to earn more money. That is the whole point. But at the same time, so are they. It's no different than, let's pretend you were going to open a retail store or a restaurant. Well, you may not own the building that the restaurant is in, right? And no one goes around hoping that there's a landlord somewhere that will rent to them their restaurant. Of course, there's going to be a landlord that has property somewhere in the city because people like to eat. So it's not uncommon. No restaurant owner goes around going, man, I would be so lucky if there's someone somewhere. Now, they may want a specific area of town or something of that nature. That's different. But they're not questioning if there's such a landlord that exists. And Chris, that's what I'm suggesting for you. Don't question if they exist. They exist. Now, will you do the work to find them? That's a completely different question. All right. Let's see. Let's keep going here and find some more questions. Who do we got? Oh, it's Elliot Thomas Rosen. Have you found a listing ranking app like Vayu, Smart B&B, Rank Breeze? Don't seem to do it. Smart B&B does have a function. It just doesn't work as well as it used to. And that's because what happened, Elliot, is that there was a change to the Airbnb API. So I'm with you, man. And if you do have Smart B&B, for those of you who are wondering what I'm talking about, you can check that out at cashflowdiary.com/STR data, cashflowdiary.com/STR data. Feel free to click the link. Always helps the channel, helps us out. Let's see where to go. So Smart B&B, I did it. I used Smart B&B's version today. The challenge is sometimes you have to run it multiple times to hopefully get the data. But what happened is that Airbnb earlier this year changed their API interface. So I am not aware of anyone who has updated their interface to be able to still pull that information back yet. But I would love to find some such persons. That's for sure. Somebody, please do it. Anyway, feel free to come join me live, cashflowdiary.com/live link. Chris, thanks for the reply and great analogy on the retail space. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. Because at the end of the day, I want everybody to become bigger, better entrepreneurs. That's why Cashflow Diary exists. Honestly, it's because I got bored doing it all by myself. And yes, we can keep going, acquiring more property, more locations. We could do that. But it's more fun, literally, for me to do it together. So let's see. Hey, Edgar, how are you? Let me look for some more questions. Oh, there we go. There's a ton. All right. So is that Kara? Kara, I'm hoping I'm saying your name right. I don't know if it's Kara or Kara. And yeah, that's what I got. Oh no, I've already answered that one. That was about the incognito. Agreed, just making sure. Yes, Tony, there's no circumstances under which I'm ever going to put an incendiary device in my unit to let individuals be able to light up a grill or a candle. And I'm not even putting the fake candles that are battery operated, because we tried that and they still came back burnt, and people told us that, hey, we can't get the candles to work. I'm like, holy cow. What are they doing? So no, it was just too much stress. Hey, Nadasi, how are you? How do you do incognito? Okay, Veronica, I will show you. Let me see if I can do that. Yep, there we go. Let me fix the screen a little bit for you. So when you are in Chrome, like right here, you see that I'm in Chrome. When you go over here to file, it says new incognito window. It's new incognito window. If I click that, what happens is that it opens a new window that is incognito. So it's like your browsing history, cookies, site data, all that stuff is no longer active in this particular window. So that's how you would do that. So hopefully that helps. Now I lost the question, so I got to go get them back. Let's see. How do you do anything? Hey, Mike, how are you? What, Mike, wasn't it you that just completed a marathon? I think it was you, Mike. If so, I salute you. I applaud you. I read a statistic somewhere that only like 2% of the population have ever done that. So that's amazing. Congrats, dude. I mean, like, for reals. Yeah. Brandon says, that's totally true, man. Not only are they afraid of vacancy, but they're also terrified of getting people into houses to only have to evict them and have a tenant move in and destroy the place. Exactly. So here, Chris, Brandon is helping you here. He is saying landlords they're people. They make money when their investment is working, and their investment is working when there's someone in it and you are promising occupancy on a level that they cannot find anywhere else. So just keep that in mind. Lorena, in Facebook, I remember that we have a conversation about the apartment loan. How can I get qualified? You mentioned there are certain topics that we need to discuss on the site. What we need to know first before we talk to them. Okay, Lorena, I'm going to read it again, and I'm going to see if I can understand what you're asking me. In Facebook, I remember that we have too many questions. We have a conversation about the apartment loan. Okay, so we had a conversation about apartments. How can I get qualified? You mentioned there are certain topics that we need to discuss. I think I know what you're talking about. So, all right. So for those of you not in our student group, and don't get me wrong, being in the mastery group is great, but being in our student group is better. Okay. What Lorena's referring to is that as many of you know, we have a podcast in iTunes, and we've been doing it for a number of years, and obviously we don't record them last minute. So there's an episode that I recorded that's going to be released soon where and long story short, what the students and I are getting to do right now is to hopefully work with a lender who's customizing a program that will allow you and I as short-term rental operators to be able to buy buildings. That's what she's referring to. Lorena, we haven't even started that process yet. I have been overwhelmed by the number of you guys that were actually interested. I'm just like, okay, now what do I do? Because there's literally hundreds of you. I was not expecting that. I was thinking it's going to be like a small little group of people. I had no idea. So what I think we're going to end up doing is some sort of Zoom meeting or webinar together as a group, so that we can have some time to talk about what it is, what feedback you want me to give her, and together we could hopefully work to make the best program possible, so that we can all qualify, or as many of us as possible can qualify for whatever the loan program that they do eventually decide to come up with is. So just to understand that. All right, does look like we have someone joining us live. Give me 1 second. Let me get this straight. Let me see. I'm going to do one here. Whoops. Well, that didn't work. Hold 1 second. Yeah. You guys, one day you'll have an appreciation for how difficult this sometimes is to be able to try and get people live at the same time as yourself. So let's see if I did that right. I did not. Hold on one second. Oh, good Lord. Nope, that's not it either. I think I'll get it this time. And there we go. All right. Hey, Mike, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How you doing?
I'm good. Shouldn't you be like tired, laid out in bed or sleep or something? I mean, you just ran a marathon.
I've had a week to recoup. I'm doing all right.
It only takes a week to recoup? How long did it take to train for something like that?
Like 3 months.
How many?
3 months. Yeah, man, it was a lot of work.
Oh my God.
So, it was cool though. I wouldn't normally run 26 miles, but my son had some health issues when he was a baby, so I ran for Boston Children's Hospital. We raised a ton of money.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Hold one second. We had a small little glitch on the sources, and I'm trying to get those back right. So let's see, source A, source B. Excellent. So Mike, there you go. Perfect. All right. So what's going on? How can I help? Oh, well, hold on. What does that say behind you? I see the word greatness, so I'm interested. I can't
Unleash your greatness.
unleash your greatness. I'm like, yeah, okay, there we go. Well, you just did that. I mean, apparently. Anyway, yes. So what's the question? How can I help?
So I've been negotiating with a landlord. He's got two family. They're both 2-bed, 1-bath units, and it's a new market for me. And I'm just trying to assess some of the market data. And I have one investor that would want to split it with me, or I could just do it myself. But the challenge is it's a lot of square footage to furnish, and I'm just trying to think: do I want to put 25 grand of my own money into this thing in an unproven market? Like, is there a cash on cash return that you're looking for? I always come back to like the multifamily math, just like cash on cash. If I put in 25, am I getting 10, 20, 30% cash on cash? It's just, to take the risk to just put up that kind of cash up front.
Got it. So the question really, this is a time frame question, meaning how long? So first of all, how many units?
It's two bed. So I get 3 listings out of it. It's a duplex, each with 2-bed, 1-bath, and then I could put a 4-2 in there. So I get 3 listings out of it.
Got it. All right. So I'm gonna call it 2 for now, for the sake of keeping it simple, because when it comes to furnishing, that's what it really looks like. So
Yep.
is your total outlay? Are you saying your total outlay for both would only be 25 grand?
Yep.
Well, that's okay. So first of all, that's not bad. That's good. And what time frame would you want your 25 grand back, other than yesterday?
I mean, ideally, I'm looking for 12 to 18 months.
Yeah, I don't see why you couldn't do that.
Because the challenge is it's a small market and there's not that many properties there. So that's why I'm like,
small as in how many? What's the population?
I think there's maybe 30 Airbnbs in this small town of, I don't know. I'd have to look up the exact population.
So why is it of interest to you? Why is it of interest to you, other than the fact that it possibly fell in your lap and it seems like the easiest road, path of least resistance?
I missed the first part of that. You're breaking up a little bit.
Sorry, I said, why is it of interest? Is it just the path of least resistance?
So I'm familiar with the market. Like we have my wife's company. She's in property management. They own a bunch of apartments all along that. So I know the market well. It's like a half an hour north of Boston. It's close to the train. It's right on the beach. It's got some new business, but it's not huge. So it's kind of a mix. Like my New Hampshire thing, it's like, I know start with why. I wanted families and couples. And it was like, boom, bread and butter. I found the right location. This one, it's like kind of a smishmortion of all different types of potential renters or guests.
So is there okay, so then let me ask a different question. Why are you deviating from what you already know works?
the challenge is there's not a lot of inventory. Like I'm checking constantly, and it's such a vacation town that people, if they're going to do it, they want to rent it to me from December to March or from like May to October. You know, they want to do like a 6-month rental. There's not a lot of long-term leases up there.
Okay. Well, you can't do that at all. That doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that that was clear.
I've been up there for like 9 months, and the property's doing great. We bought this one, and I keep checking for any other properties that I might be able to kind of burr in and out of with my cash and keep it. But there's just not a lot.
Who's the customer?
For New Hampshire or this place?
The 2-bedroom, whichever this 2-bedroom is that we're talking about.
It's going to be a mix. So there's a college right up the street. So I'm thinking, families coming to visit around graduation time. It's literally a block from the beach. So you get like summer renters. And then in the winter, it's going to be a mix of, people coming maybe for business, or there's a hospital that's kind of close. It's just.
How close?
You can't walk there, but it's
Less
maybe
than
a 10
miles.
Drive. A little more than that. It's like a 10-minute drive.
These are all okay. So that you know, these are all the things that make me pass on what you're saying. Is like, no, to me.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that's I just kind of wanted to gut check it with you because I'm like, I probably could make money, but it's not like a clean, like this is exactly a good fit for this target customer.
Right. And that's actually my point. Because it's not so clear, I don't know that it's worth the risk per se. Because the only way you get your money back is if you have the customers. And if you're not going to have the customers consistently enough, you just don't know. And if you don't know, then that's part of the problem. So I would want to hedge that risk if I was going to take it in some way, shape, or form. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I know you hate the model, but I'm gonna. Well,
it's more about the fact that you have a It sounds like it's off what you've already done.
Yeah.
That's the problem. So
for me to kind of test this market without dumping $25,000 of my own cash, I've got somebody that's got a nice 1-bedroom unit.
Right.
I will pay to furnish it. He just wants me to manage it. I know you don't like that model, but I think it, like Rebecca said, it might be a good way to test the market.
Sure.
If it works, because it's close to me. It's 20 minutes from my house. We're in New Hampshire.
No, I understand that. I don't like risk, and that sounds like more risk than you have to take. That's my only concern. If you can lower your startup costs or figure out a way to get that balance sheet risk on somewhere else, I'm fine with it. That's really what it comes down to. Like, how could you put $2,000 out and have someone else take the other $20,000 risk and make that work? Then that's less of a risk, in my opinion. Make sense?
100%.
Cool.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Excellent. No problem. That's what we do. Okay. All right, everybody. I have a small person who, what do you want to say hi or something here?
No.
Too late.
What?
Say hi.
Hi.
There you go. Now, what do you need?
When can we leave for bowling?
We're not today bowling?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, it's not now. That's for sure. Go.
But when?
Justice, you're gonna go. Thank you. All right. Woo! All right. Now, let me see. Okay, John is here. Let's get John out here as well. John. Did I do that right? Looks like it. Hey, John, let me unmute you. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Jay.
Good. Glad to hear it. Apparently, I'm going bowling later, so.
Dude, first of all, I could totally understand that. So they don't bother me until I go live or I'm online. And it's like, hey, I want to be in the video, right? So I totally get that. I've got a 7 and 11-year-old. So
got it. Yeah. That was the 7-year-old, and then the 10-year-old came right behind him. Yes, we're going bowling. I'm like, okay, guess we're going bowling today.
Our 7-year-old daughter she wants to be on camera. So anytime we're on camera, she's like, hey, man, I'm right here with you. So I totally get it.
Yep.
So I'm just over here kind of laughing, like, yeah, he has the same problem.
Yeah, I do.
So, but that's not why I came on. So, we were actually out of town this weekend, or actually the last 4 days, Thursday through Monday. And so it was time to test the system and see that it can run while we're not home, right?
Yes.
And so we have one of our units. We had somebody checking in there, and we got them in there. And it just so happens that they were like the worst people you could possibly have when you're out of town. So they basically trashed it.
Okay.
They are apparently do this a lot. They're professionals at this. So they showed up. They trashed the place, like silverware in the driveway type stuff.
Okay. Got it.
The good news is we had a great team in place because they checked out. I had somebody checking in that day. We were able to put it back together and get the next guest in. Okay, so that was a good thing. So that was a good test of the system. However, what I would like to know is how do I prevent these people from showing up in the first place? Now this one was a HomeAway booking. There were things I did not know about HomeAway before I did this. So
got it.
I didn't have the damage protection. I didn't have all that. So I'm eating that. That's fine. It's a opportunity to improve our processes.
Okay. So that's one of the reasons I always caution people before they go to another platform is simply because there are certain security protections and screenings that you may not always think about that Airbnb is already doing for us automatically. So that's why I call Airbnb the training wheels platform. When I get bookings from other platforms, there are other steps, either a contract or some sort of way of getting a copy of their because I'm assuming you don't have a copy of their driver's license and you don't have you might still have their credit card. I don't know how you set up your HomeAway, but did you get either one of those?
No, I used HomeAway's payment. No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. So
I haven't had a problem in the past, so this is the first time this has happened. Of course, it happens while you're out of town, right?
Hey, it's gonna happen. It happens eventually, and yes, but at least But here's the thing: you got to see what is, for all intents and purposes, a worst case scenario. So now you've gotten out. You can check that sucker right off the list.
Yes.
Now the question is there are certain other security procedures. For example, when I get bookings that are not on Airbnb, things like contracts and asking for copies of the front and back of either their driver's license and credit cards can definitely help to weed those individuals out, because it becomes hey, if you don't provide these, we will cancel your booking, or you won't be allowed or granted access until you do. And if they're not willing to do certain things, those can be really, really good clues, which helps you prevent. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. I was thinking along those lines. I was kind of just wondering what best practices were.
Those are probably two of the most major. Because when we've done that, we've had literally no issues.
So tactically, how do we capture those? Are we doing that through email, through whatever? Basically, that becomes an email and or part of whatever signature platform you're using. You may not have one right now, and that's okay. But that's really what it comes down to is, yes, that becomes also something we list and say inside of that HomeAway listing or booking.com or whatever the platform is. We also let them know that because they're agreeing to those terms on whatever marketing site we're using, so that they know that that's a part of it as well. So that way you have standing with that marketing site saying, hey, this was a part of what we said they were going to have to do. They didn't do it. Therefore, we need to cancel. And if they're not willing to do it, then okay, cool. No harm, no foul per se. And those are the things that I would be thinking about for sure. So for on HomeAway specifically, they have where you can upload a rental agreement.
Yep.
Would you advise having just part of that a rental agreement that you're going to do these other steps?
Yep.
Or when you say signing platform, are you talking DocuSign, .loop, that type of thing? Or
I am.
Okay. Because I do have that.
I try to keep it as electronic as possible because I'm horrible with paper, and so is everyone else these days. So the more I can keep it onto their mobile device or phone, the more likely they are to complete it and actually get it back to me. Okay,
cool. Yeah, I have those resources from the real estate side, so we'll just incorporate them. So
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's what I was looking for. Best practices, and what does everybody else do?
Yeah, that's what everybody else is doing.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Totally understood. Thanks, man. Thanks for coming. Let's see. All right, everybody. So hopefully, for those of you, if you want to, like I said, feel free to come join us live. I always ask questions. Let me get back over here to the other questions that are coming in. Oh my goodness. Let me see if I can get caught up. Where did it go? I'm gonna start answering some of them really fast because they started coming in fast. Hi, how are you? Crystal, I always have extra guests show up at my house. Of course you do, because it's a house. Profile has $20 per person per night, extra above 4 people. In my house rules, it jumps to $50 per person per night if they break the rules. Is that too much? What do you suggest? No. There's a couple of things that I'm going to suggest to you really quickly, Crystal. From a revenue standpoint, why not drop it down to 2 people and then start charging $20 past 2? Okay, so right there. And then when you notice it, again, I know you're using all of our security procedures, just document that, submit it as resolutions, and get paid. Because at the end of the day, you have the documentation necessary to say that more than the number of people in the reservation or stated in the reservation were actually present. And it's just that simple. And I'm assuming if you've got that, if it's in your house rules, they agreed to it, then great. No, it's not too much. They need to follow the rules. Period. In fact, I might even steal this idea because I love the fact that if you admit it up front, it's less. But if I have to catch you and track you down, it's more. That's actually kind of cool. I like it. Moving on. Maria J, I had my unit optimized. Good. It was suggested to leave a welcome gift. What are your thoughts about this? By the way, another 5-day booking this morning. Good job, Maria. I'm fired up for you. All right. So when it comes to things like, what is it? A welcome gift. Again, I'm not against a welcome gift. I want to be really, really clear about that. What I'm against are things that don't scale. How do you scale that? That's my only question. If you are going to do that and you have 30 units, 50 units, 100 units, how do you scale it? My only question. If you have a system and you're willing to pay for that level of personalization and making sure that that gets hit each and every time, knock yourself out. That's my only concern. If you can do it, great. If not, I would recommend you leave it out. Anthony says, what's up, Jay? How are you, Anthony? Let's see. Whoa. Brennan. Okay, there it is. Lorena says, I tried to refresh my listing, like change the title, description, and swap the photos. However, there are some rumors said that change the photos may cause listing pause and get review. Is that true? I can neither confirm nor deny, Lorena. I'm sorry. I've not heard anything about if you change your photos, and that would somehow delist your listing. I'm not aware of that at all. Hey, Latanya, how are you? And then Cara, what is it? Says, when we are looking into new markets, how small of a population size starts to get too small, or is it more about why are they traveling? I'm currently researching smaller college towns. I think Mike is going to be listening very intently right now, for sure. At the end of the day, okay, so let me be clear. I'm not against smaller locations. I am not against smaller locations. The smallest location that I am aware of that one of our students is successfully operating in is 14,000 people in a place called Canmore in Canada. I've never been. There's probably more moose than there are people. Okay. But they're doing it. Okay. So it's not necessarily about population size. It's why are they traveling and who are you looking to serve? Right. So that's really what it comes down to. The experience that they're having at your property is way more important than anything else. Okay. And that's what you must always, always, always remember, the experience they're having at your property. So with that being said, who is it that you're looking to serve? You know, what is going on? What's attracting you to this small? Okay, so you want to do small college towns. Okay. But colleges are going to have this kind of, pattern to them, especially when the kids leave and the kids come back. Is this a football? Is this like a sports play? Like, are they, well, if it's a small college town, probably not. You've got to think about why are people going to be traveling there? And more importantly, who do you want to serve? And is that person whom you wish to serve actually going to be, well, there? I don't know that answer. Only you do, I hope. Only you do. All right, let's keep going. Hey, Rebecca, how are you? For a 2-bedroom, would you still charge after 2 people? Yes, gamer, yes. Russell, I have had bookings for future dates for events that are not on my radar as far as out as next June. Yes, this happens a lot. My prices are high, which is great, but I feel like I'm leaving money on the table. When and how do you research for the major events in your market besides Google? And when do you set prices? Do you call local hotels, ask about rates, availability, blah, blah, major events to compare prices? Yes, all of that. And don't forget about your convention centers. This happens a lot to new hosts where when we get started, we don't know why people are coming to our area. We just know people are coming. And then we start to find out that there's a chewing gum competition of world championships. And we're like, chewing? I mean, yeah, okay. So people are coming for the chewing gum world championships. And that's really that's really what you get the privilege of learning. I mean, you just learn this stuff as you go because it's especially in a place like LA or Orange County or maybe even Chicago or your Dallas, Seattle. I mean, there's so much going on, and some of it is so niche that you would never know. You would never know. And that first year, you might miss a ton of things. Simply because you're like, I had no idea. Like, I know my first one, I missed Persian New Year. I missed Chinese New Year. I missed, apparently Australians like to come out to California during a certain time of year. I missed all that stuff because I just didn't know, you know? Oh, well, but now you know better, right? That's really how it works. Now, I like to keep my calendar no more than 6 months out. That's just me because, yes, I don't like the idea of leaving money on the table. There is a strategy, however, when it comes to working similar to the way hotels do. What hotels are known for doing is keeping these popular dates. So, for example, where is the Super Bowl is, oh, crud. The Super Bowl this year, Super Bowl 2019. And I know for those of you outside the U.S., you're like, Super Bowl, tell me more about that real football. Anyway, the Super Bowl is in Atlanta. Yes, Super Bowl is in Atlanta this year. Okay, so if I was in Atlanta right now, one of the strategies that I would be employing is keeping those dates blocked, especially right now, because one, we don't know which teams are coming at all. And what I would do is I would be, yes, calling the other hotels, and you'll probably find that their dates are currently blocked or their numbers are insanely high. And then I would wait until we knew who was coming. Then I would start with really, really high, insane numbers. Something that almost violates your conscience. Like, there is no way on earth anyone is going to pay this amount. And when they do, you just smile and go, oh, I love the Super Bowl, right? Hey, it is what it is. So that's what I'm talking about. I wouldn't keep, if there's something like that coming to your town, block those dates to almost the last possible second, like 2 weeks before, and mark up the price as opposed to selling them too early. Okay. That's kind of where my mind goes when you ask me stuff like this. All right. Let me see. Looking for more questions. No, we are not short on questions today. We are definitely not short on questions today. All right. Is Charlotte, North Carolina a good market? What is good, Pedro? Pedro, good is a relative term. Good for who? Good for what? What is the level of who do you want to serve? If you go back in module, so you're a student. Yes, you're in the student group. So if you go back in module 1, we go through inside the mastermind product, we give you this worksheet to work through to figure out who is this customer avatar that you're going to be serving so that you can figure it out. Once you know whom you want to serve, then you can go, okay, is this person coming to Charlotte, North Carolina? Now, from North Carolina, so hey, it's North Carolina. I think it's going to be great, although I don't like snow. But at the same time, Charlotte's not a bad place and I've looked at it for like longer term real estate. I've not actually evaluated for short term real estate. For the last couple of times I've been in Charlotte, though, the signs are there. All signs point to yes, but you got more work to do. Crystal, also finally looking to add on a laundry service. Good. I know it varies, but what's a good price for a 3-bedroom to pay per turnover? If I'm going to ballpark this, well, Crystal, all right. Pricing for cleaning is oh, hold on. You said laundry service. So I'm assuming you're just talking about laundry. I'm gonna say $15 to $20. Depending, I'm assuming it's a three. Yeah, you said 3-bedroom. Yeah, I'm gonna say $15 to $20 would be my guess. Depending on how many sheets and couches and things you may have there, but somewhere between 15 as much as $20 per turnover is probably absolutely okay. Maria, thanks, Jay. No, not scaling. A welcome gift at this time. My calendar is blocked for Super Bowl. Good. Was wondering when to release. Thank you. Probably, like I said, 2 weeks ahead of time. Hey, Steven, how are you? Pedro says, thanks. Excellent. More questions. Different group. Woo! Here we go. You guys are loading the questions today. I like it. Where to go? Where to go? Jody said, Durbin says student group. Okay, so Jody, if you want to join us in the student group, the details for that, there's a presentation that we've put together. It's cashflowdiary.com/star. We have a number of students who are actually practicing and have access to a whole bunch more resources that give them the inside scoop on what to do, how to scale, how to make sure that their business runs properly. Feel free to go there, cashflowdiary.com/star. All right. Let me move this. Boom. Chris, why would an owner want you to sublet their apartment versus a standard 12-month tenant? More wear and tear in the unit, not normal, etc. Actually, it's not more wear and tear. That's an assumption that you've made, because in theory, just think about this. When when you go and get a hotel, or when you've traveled, do you spend most of your time in the place in the building, or do you actually go somewhere? You're usually traveling to a place to go do something else somewhere else. You're not traveling to a place to stay in the hotel room the entire time. So just think about that for a second. But a lot of those questions, again, are answered. Chris, you might want to go to the same presentation at cashflowdiary.com/star, because we go through a lot of that. Elliot, have you considered charging extra for Wi-Fi like a hotel? Oh, Elliot, you are making me so kind of happy right now. I have been beta testing devices that allow me to do just exactly that. We have not released those results yet, but yes is the answer to your question. Lee Lawrence, how are you? Do you check the ID and positive review requirements on Airbnb? I do. I check one or the other, not both. One or the other, usually defaulting to positive review, Elliot. Atlanta, it's here. Yeah, you better be ready for that Super Bowl. Awesome. Thank you, Chris. Okay, great. Already loaded up that website for this evening. Perfect. Good, Chris. We look forward to having you in the student group. All right. Did I get all the questions? Hey, Carol, how are you? Scroll. Yes, looks like I've got all the questions. If you've got a question, feel free to come join us live. Any Chrome browser on a non-iOS device, cashflowdiary.com/live link. You can ask your question live, just like you saw John and Mike do earlier today. Yep, I'm scrolling through just to make sure I haven't missed any of the other questions in all of the groups. All right, perfect. And for those of you watching on Facebook, feel free to come and join us in the free group over at in our mastery group at cashflowdiary.com/mastery. Now, with all of that being said, guys, a couple of things I want to make sure everybody is thinking about. Okay, if you're in the U.S., holidays are coming up, right? And you need to change some things, the way that your calendar operates, and you probably need to have some conversations with your staff. But here's what I mean. Start working with your minimum stays, meaning 1 day versus 2 day minimum stays, because that's going to become important, right? You don't want a 1 day stay on, say, the holiday day in and of itself, whether that's Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, etc. Additionally, not in addition to your pricing, you also want to be paying attention to things like which days of those will your crew not be available. For example, are they going to be working on Christmas? Are they going to be working on New Year's? Are they going to be working on Thanksgiving Day? I don't know, but it's a conversation you should be having. And with that being said, you need to modify your calendars appropriately so no one departs on that day or no one arrives on that day. Whatever works best for your system is what you need to be thinking through right now. Otherwise, you could end up in a situation that'd be a little bit challenging, because if, say, you got a whole bunch of units suddenly going empty on Christmas Day and you're like, dude, this is not how I planned on spending Christmas. Well, that could be a problem. So definitely be thinking about that now if you haven't already, because your potential guests are already scouring your calendar, and you need to make sure that you guys are in the proper position. Let's see. Okay, great. Thanks. Do you still have your houses and apartments? That's how I found you back in the day. Hey, Chris. So and again, if you go over to the YouTube channel, we talk about this a lot. For those of you who have been following me for a while, etc., you understand exactly what I'm about to say. What I have is I have smaller children that you got to see. At the end of the day, what we've been doing is we have been moving everything from out east to something closer here to California, where everybody can participate and the kids can see what dad does. So that's what we've been in the process of doing this entire time. And it takes more money to have the same number of units out here. And that's the whole point. That's how short-term rentals became a thing, because now, instead of taking $100,000 or $250,000 and getting an 8-unit or a 10-unit building, what you can do is you can take that same thing, build a portfolio of short-term rentals, and then take that cash and go buy bigger buildings more frequently. Hopefully that made sense. But for those of you in places where $250,000 buys the entire block, well, maybe it didn't. It is what it is. Woo! Gotcha. Sorry to have you rehash stuff you've gone through already. I'll be more prepared next time. Chris, it's completely fine. No problem whatsoever. Let's see. Mike J, how do you set up your VAs? How do you set your VAs up with access to Airbnb? Do you have them set up a co-host account and give them your login info? Or give them your login? I don't give them, I don't give them my login info, and yet I do. So let me explain. When it comes to, yes, they have their own, we have a general co-host account for all of our listings. So let me say it that way. All right. So now that's said, that is the login info. So that login info for that account is also shared with them. Also, any other accounts that we have, that login info is also shared with them. But it's shared with them in such a way that they don't actually have direct access to the password themselves. So in our case, we use Dashlane in order to manage that. So that way they can still log in. They can still do the processing of claims and responding to reviews and blah, 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 all the stuff. So yes, so it's like sharing the password, but not sharing the password. And it's like a co-host account, but not a co-host account, because it's not their own, it's ours. And the password that they have access to is only their password for their account on Dashlane, not direct access to the password of our account direct with whatever service provider or platform that they might be using. So hopefully that made sense, because it probably could have come out way more confusing than I intended. All right. So guys, we're getting close to the end. Feel free to type in your questions, because, well, we all know from earlier, I've got some little people who are waiting to go bowling, right? So that means we're going to be, they're probably actually watching this on their devices somewhere in the house, like literally waiting for me to say goodbye, so that exact moment they bust through the door and like, okay, let's go. Yeah, they've done it before. So I would not be surprised if it happens again. Either way, feel free to type your questions in the time that we have left. For those of you who have joined us for the first time, welcome again. Feel free to join us again. We do this on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific time. It works for a lot of people. We've been doing this for a number of years, making sure that you don't get stuck, because in the time that I've had the privilege of helping, I don't even know how many thousands of people now in this whole real estate game. What I find is that if you can't ask a question in the middle of something, you get stuck and maybe you quit, and that's unfortunate. And I don't want you to do that. We're here for you, and that's the goal. If you're in one of our groups, that's why the questions, that's why we want you to ask questions. We want you to participate, because at the end of the day, when you ask your questions, when you get your question answered, we can actually do something about it. And doing something about your questions and making sure that they get answered, well, it kind of makes me excited. It's kind of like why we do what we do. All right. I'm going to look for questions one more time. Elliot is asking, who's the best bowler in the house? Well, what's really interesting is that my 10-year-old, she has to be first at everything, or nobody is going to have a peaceful evening. But my 9-year-old, also daughter, likes to poke fun at her occasionally, trying to win. She hates to lose too, but she's getting used to losing to her older sister. But what happened the last time we went is that the 7-year-old managed to outscore the 10-year-old. So I'm kind of surprised she's actually saying, yeah, let's go bowling, because she was not happy at all about the fact that her 7-year-old brother totally outscored her. So we'll see how it goes down. I'll make sure to, referee and put people in their corner and maybe some timeout type of stuff. But yeah, it was not a peaceful, all shiny, happy, let's, kumbaya together type of moment last time. So we'll see how it goes. I don't know yet. Chris, what's the worst case scenario when you owe the landlord rent but can't get it short-term rented? Just pay out of pocket to cover the rent? Yes. Bonus, how long of a lease do you sign with the owners? At least 12 months. But you should not put yourself in a situation, Chris, in which you can't cover the rent. That rarely happens. Okay? Looking for... Do you decorate for the holidays? Good question, Veronica. I do not. At all, because that just sounds like work. So no, my units look the same. I am not decorating for the holidays. I'm sorry. Maybe you do. That's awesome. I'll come stay at your place. But no, I don't want to decorate. I don't want to change the photos. No, as has been said before in some meme long before me, ain't nobody got time for that. It's just that simple in my world. It's just that simple in my world. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it has been fun serving you again today. I thank you for taking the time to hang out with us, and we look forward to serving you again soon. Until next time.